is, I mean, besides being the silent badass, he's doing things that you really wouldn't expect or shouldn't do. Like at the end, when the villain is about to try and have his final moment, and John's like, "No, you don't get that moment. It's over now." And it's like, yeah, the whole just shoot him idea is like it doesn't apply to them, but it applies to him.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
That's the thing I like about that movie. It does subvert some tropes, but then it dives headlong into other tropes.
Yeah,
It
no,
does
so,
whatever the hell it wants to. There's some parts of it where it gets a little bit too irritating and it can take you out of the movie. But most of the time, it does a pretty good job of making everything pretty entertaining. Although by the second one, I kind of did get a little bit tired of him grappling someone that runs at him in point blank range, of course.
Yes.
And then he rolls around the ground
Yes.
for the next 40 seconds shooting people as they just run up to him.
And then he
Okay,
gets up and
that's
finishes
it.
off that guy, and then the guy he was
Yeah.
grappling with. It happens like 18 times.
This is his favorite movie. And there's no police in this universe.
No.
Not a single one.
oh
Unless
yeah,
it calls
no,
for the
I
plot
haven't seen the
itself.
second one yet, but yeah, holy shit, there's no police.
Like you can have an amazing one-on-one continued gunfight kata through the streets of Italy, you know, and
The cops are like,
how many
what's
shots
happening?
fired before anyone even glances over? You know, oh, it's just more of that party color from the
Yeah,
Colosseum.
and 1 billion assassins fight him on the way back to his house. How come every human being in this world is an assassin with a cell phone?
Because it's cool.
Shut up.
Wooly, are you an assassin?
I'm probably an assassin.
Wooly is super an assassin. I am not.
This sounds
I-
like something an assassin would say. Assassin.
I loved that moment where they go to the Colosseum rave, and I'm like, this is the most garish, ridiculous, over the top, shitty fucking party
You
thing.
so wish you were there.
Oh my god, I want to be there so bad. I've never simultaneously hated and
Wanted to be somewhere.
so much.
Yeah, I knew
Colosseum party. Like you're desecrating all this
it.
ancient
Fucking,
shit.
there's drunk people peeing on like ancient statues and shit.
Where people died, you know.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Oh. I want to be on that
I
statue.
was really glad to see everyone in that whole place die. It was like, oh, keep dancing though.
How about Logan?
Yeah, that's it. Watch John Wick. That's what that was. Logan, spectacular movie. As far as a comic book movie, like that's like a Godfather of comic
Yeah.
book movies.
Yeah,
It's
it's
very,
a
very
it's a good and the bad and the ugly comic book style
Does
movie.
a great job of like weighing emotions during scenes. Like
Mhm.
we have one of the like there's I'm not gonna start spoiling things, but you get to a point where it's like this huge emotional weight of oh God, I can't believe this, followed immediately by this laugh out loud scene. Like
Mhm.
probably 15 seconds after, and it works perfect.
Yeah, sure.
Which means Fox is getting it, you know. Now where do you go is the question, but
It is mysterious that Fox produced that. You wouldn't, I didn't expect that.
The only reason they did is because Deadpool did really, really well in our rating, so they kind of just gave them carte blanche and just said, yeah,
Yeah.
just do whatever you want now.
and
You would think
Days of Future
You-
Past was fine, you know.
a little bit.
I mean, it was better than like First Class and Days of Future Past were the best of that all of those, you know.
I don't know
And
how they're going to build back up a setting. Though.
They're doing Dark Phoenix again.
Oh boy,
yeah,
That's
can't wait
that's
for that.
that's
That
the
always
thing.
works really well.
Yeah. Like even the
Well, maybe
cartoon
the-
version of it was awful.
Yeah, even the like I hate whenever I watched it as a kid. Like I
Yeah.
would, wake up, get really pumped on Saturday morning whenever the intro came on. Dun, 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 like yeah, fuck yeah, explode in that fucking ocean, you giant goddamn X.
yeah. Pop
And then
it
it's
out.
like last time on X-Men, the Phoenix. Ah, fuck it. That's-
um, I was just thinking that like if I ever do have to have a gunfight with somebody, just on John Wick, I want it to be suddenly while walking through a subway, not trying to cause too much attention, not to draw too much attention to myself.
Mhm.
As you're on the, just like yeah, walking through a
Yeah.
common, you know. Get shot! Shut up!
They're very bad shots whenever they need to be. And I think that would make it easier to get someone.
think, but no.
Walking at a medium pace is
They
great.
have plot armor. It's like chi around their body. They have an energy field.
Yeah. Only important bullets can possibly pierce
right.
it.
Again, they're
Knives can get through.
well, they're
Yeah.
they're hip shooting blind, and they're good enough at that point to not accidentally hit anyone else.
Well, it's exactly
Yeah.
like the armor in Punisher 2099. There's a guy that's like, I'm super rich, I can do whatever. I have this force field and no bullets can go through. If I just like shooting him like a zillion times, he's like, oh, it sucks. He's like, yeah. Oh, how about this knife? I can push it into things real slowly. And he's like, wait, what? Who uses what's a knife? And he's like, yeah, and he just stabs him because he's like, oh no.
That could be the most like John Wick. Those suits that they wear. That has the scene. The scene has magic plot armor.
Yeah,
that
it
can
does.
deflect any bullet.
It
But
does.
yet someone can stab them through. Like they just have a knife. It's just a fucking kitchen knife, and they're just stabbing the shit out of him with this suit.
It's amazing.
Like it can deflect a bullet that's going the speed of light, but it can't deflect some angry, like sweaty man that fell on you.
Don't you know you can stab Kevlar? You can stab anyone in armor, dude. No problem.
Yeah.
They didn't even try to go for his face. It's the whole RoboCop thing. Shoot him in the mouth.
If I throw my kunai hard enough, it'll go right through your Kevlar.
Just surround it with keys.
Yeah, so you know that the mountain is not that's a tribute to him.
Some people do say that that's actually not armor, that his mouth also in skin is artificially made.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it'll
at that
take
point, I'm
damage,
like, oh,
but
shut up, come on.
yeah. It was just
You
it's
could at
just
least
tribute
try.
armor. You could.
I guess the criminals knew that before.
Yeah, but they
were
had the
told
big
beforehand.
explosive guns, so they didn't think that they needed to shoot his mouth, little mouth.
What? Well, after.
Sorry, I played Dead Cell. Dead Cell.
Yeah, I want to know what you think of
I want to know how. I don't care what you thought of it. I want to know how far
What's
you
your
got.
opinion so I can ignore it?
I want to know how fucking far you got.
Kind of depends because Dead Cells, like I never really cared too much for Rogue Legacy. Those are not kind of my games.
Sure.
The cutoff point for me is usually feeling of you died, we remove all of your progress except for like an upgrade here and there or something like that, right?
Yeah.
That's how those games work.
Roguelikes. Yeah.
And to me, that's too strong, and it makes me feel like I'm just wasting my time usually. Because the experience, like one of the ways that I love to play, because it very much so is referencing Dark. And Dead Cells makes no excuses for itself in that realm. So one of the ways that I liked to play whenever I first started it was to just take things very slowly, like lay down like traps and try to bait people into it and things like that. And I really enjoyed doing that. But that's not how you're supposed to. You're supposed to go breakneck speed. Just You're
Much
supposed
more.
to be flying through that shit.
Much more than a Souls game, because I think when you die in a Souls game, it is like, you know, depending on the shortcuts you've acquired or whatever, it's still very slow paced to get back to where you are, like most of the time. But yeah, Dead Cells is more like literally like Edge of Tomorrow, where you die very quickly and you move really fast to get
The
back
rest
to
of
where
the
you
day.
are, or rather,
Yeah, that's-
the editing of Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I. That's what I
Go,
think.
go. You know what's coming. Go.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Did you
in my
make it to the
experience
Black
with
Bridge?
In my experience with it, whenever I was playing it, I kind of reached that point where I realized this is like, oh, this is not a game I'm going to be playing very much.
Okay.
So I decided, okay, I'm going to try to get as much of experience with this as I possibly can. I did 2 or 3 other runs with it. I kind of got to, I think the sewers. I did
Yep.
next.
Yep. The old sewers.
Third.
Before I actually went into Cheat Engine and decided, you know what, I'm going to freeze things just so I can see what the content is after this.
Interesting.
And then, well, that's how I
Okay.
usually, if I have something that I don't want to actually play at that point.
But
then
you
I'll
just
say,
wanna know
"Oh,
about
I
it?"
just want to see, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just kind of interested to see what's
Fair
going
enough.
on.
Interesting. Okay. It's
So,
single player.
funny
never
thing
heard
about
of
that
it.
is, even if you freeze your health at some outlandishly high number, you can still get one-shot kills. Like, it's one of those things. Like, you can still get your ass blown out. So I kind of just went through just to see, okay, what's going to drop? Like, what kind of new items does this game actually have?
Oh, and it's got a
And I was like,
bloodborne
that's pretty
system
cool.
too, of like healing stuff.
Yeah, it does have some regen to it.
I'm sure you enjoyed that.
It's not
thoroughly.
incredibly aggressive. I actually don't mind the idea of a regain system. It's just that it's placed in games where you're meant to be naturally aggressive,
Hmm.
and I don't really like games like that because I find that they kind of punish thinking things through, and I just don't like playing that way.
Fair
But
enough.
anyway, the idea of a regain system is fine. I don't mind that at all. But at that point, I kind of got a whole bunch of like items, and I actually went through and beat the whole thing just doing that, just to see what it was like. And of course, you get to the end, and it's obvious that it's a beta. Like they're still working on the game.
Yeah, it's still in early access.
So you get to a reset point.
Okay.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. But after that, I turned it back off and did some more runs with it and got a little bit further than I did the last time. Those bosses are a problem, aren't they?
They're
They have
really
quite
rough.
a lot of help.
You were describing that
Yeah.
other one the other day.
And the first one, and about how when
They're almost stun lock mini games in a way. Like you have to find a way to actually disable them. You
And-
can't just DPS them.
and like and it feels like, you know, like those little things where it's like you feel like you're exploiting it by like yeah, doing like a stun lock thing, or like roll hit roll hit roll hit roll hit, and you can't deal with
Yeah.
it. It feels like that's the only actual way to do it
Which
sometimes.
isn't great.
The final
Something that has been said about modern, like Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3 especially, is that they have kind of turned into rhythm mini games, pressing the dodge button, because they're just they perform this animation:
Yeah.
swing, 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 swing. So you just have to get in this rhythm of dun 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 dun, and it just becomes that. Like that becomes the game. And to a lot of people, that makes it to where it kind of ruins the experience because it becomes so transparent what you are expected to do, and it ends up making it feel less like a combat system and more like you're exploiting something.
hmm and the, like even and the second boss as well, they both have this thing where, again, when they get down to that final phase, it's not that they're doing harder versions of the moves they've been doing, it's that they're doing them all at the same time. You know, so you're dealing with two or three things all at once, and it's kind of just like I can't even, you know, like I can't even approach that in an intelligent way with the equipment I have. I also have a really tough time with those elites. Those elites are fucking
Some of them.
brutal.
God, I
When
want
you
to play
get
the game again now that you're
when you
talking
get
about
down
it.
to the last half of the elite life bar on, like, let's say the white guys that teleport up to you, and like, you can't run, you can't hide. The only so safe is holding onto a ladder, because the minute you die,
What if they spawn in like a
every elite causes like I feel like it's not like I see out the elites whenever it's probably like a fucking. I'm enjoying
we spend
I'm enjoying slamming my head against it. I really am, but I can't
Yeah,
believe.
you enjoyed Rogue Legacy.
Yeah, exactly. So I do like that little bit of increase, and when you eventually go like, all right, now I get a random starter sword and not just a shitty one. You know, now I get whatever, like, you know, with a different pickup or something like that. I'm like,
I did have the urge when I was playing it. I was thinking I would love to go to audience, to where it was slower, more speed and DPS and huge health bars and so forth and so on. Because there's a lot of things where I love, like throwing down a curve or using the chain to pull down things like that. I
Oh
love
shit, it's like a
utility-based
scorpion
things.
chain? That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing things like that. And it's just, I kept thinking, I love doing this, but the game doesn't really support it. It's not the
Right.
best way to play.
there's an item you unlock that is like quite literally the teleport behind you, nothing personal to you teleport behind the enemy in your line of sight, and then the next melee attack is 150%.
Full
fuck.
state the shit out of it.
Yeah. But
That
less.
was my experience with Dead Cells.
That's a good experience. I'm curious to know what lies beyond the course that I'm stuck at, but I don't want to spoil it. But what I do want to do is sponsor.
Which we always do in a tournament.
It is finally not. So this week,
Casper, man. Oh my God. I just, oh, I hate down on a nice match. It's getting intense.
Oh, very solid. It was, and it's getting, and you know, like if I did get exhausted, then I would have exhausted matches. But you do, you lay down and sleep because they're obsessively engineered mattresses at a shockingly fair price.
You know, it comes a lot. Pretty good. All good jobs.
When I get home from talking, sometimes I need a good nap.
In your own trap room.
And what better, like, accoutrement to your trap room
On a comfy bed.
than but not just a comfy bed, a bed with memory foam,
Ah,
right? That award-winning sleep surface that knows your
So
sleep.
remember that ass.
It knows your dreams, every crease and every wrinkle. It's baked in there so that when you fall asleep,
It falls asleep with you.
I don't. It will judge. Furthermore, you can judge it for 100 nights with free. And if you judge it unworthy, they'll pick it up and refund you every year.
You're not worthy of my body, Casper mattress, said no one.
It's just ridiculous. They're giving you that, you're getting 100 nights, you're getting 3 months of trial time to realize how awesome these mattresses are. Free shipping and return. And we're talking over 20,000 reviews. And hopefully charging more. It's quickly becoming the internet's favorite mattress.
The internet specifically.
Yep. All of them.
Internet loves it. Internet speaks on it every night.
Look, what the internet can do is go to Casper.com/. You have to go to $50 on internet subscription. What else is there to say? Get yourself in on that good sleep.
Not only does it really talk bit, he also sleeps on it.
Get yourself in on that good
Not
sleep.
only is he the president of the company, he's also a client.
Oh, yeah. Don't get high on your own supply? Bullshit, I say. Thanks, Casper.
Thank you so much.
And, yeah, so back to play.
Back,
Oh, this is the only sponsor we have?
back to play go.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the last point that I had on my little board was not yours.
Mm.
Since you guys completed your playthrough, I guess we can talk about that openly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So,
If you're
there's
planning
not
to play
much
Night in the
yeah.
Woods, maybe, like, yeah, how
Yeah.
openly we're gonna talk here.
I mean, because some people, I guess,
They do.
watching
It's possible.
Yeah, there's things like some people say, I stopped watching it, I think this is gonna buy channels. That type of stuff.
I get that, but I really like, you know, that point of doing the LPI channel. I think it's good.
Yeah,
So we're going to discuss that later. I thought it was also, yeah, it's really just very good.
like morality. Are playing as this young person that doesn't know where they are in the world.
very much at crossroads. Not even at crossroads. She doesn't know where the crossroads fucking are.
No, she thought she was at the crossroads,
Yeah.
but then she discovered she wasn't. She was actually at the anti-crossroads, where it was a straight line.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, okay. But I thought it was like one of those things where it would just be you're presented with a typical young person problem that most people go through these days. Where they're like at college, they think, well, I'm supposed to go to college, but they don't really understand what
Why?
it means,
Yeah.
you know, what they're going to do afterwards. Like nothing makes sense to them. They haven't been prepared properly.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, it's going to be things where you need to cultivate a good life experience for her and have her do things like go look at the stars and get her interested in something where she can actually establish herself as a person. That's what the main thing is.
that the crossroads that Rose presented were so down to our path, and now she's handling that decision. Well, Wiccan is not the wrong path, but
He is already teaching.
yeah.
But I think there's also a bit to say that if the person that's playing doesn't care about looking at the stars, when someone says, go to see Mr. Chekhov, he wants to see you, and he's like, look at the stars. You might do that once, and if the person doesn't want to, like, has no interest in that, or they're they won't do that. But I think the game on streaming it, you kind of feel a little bit frustrated, you get on it, and you get out, a little bit slow. So I think really good less than Willie did, because when you have people in that, I think there's a little more leeway into, maxing out the so I didn't do every single, like, song stuff. I didn't do I thought I kind of did.
Well, that's where I was going to say that it feels like there is a side of doing those things, right? It's really hanging out with your friends to get the day moving forward, or speaking to these other people for the flavor.
I'm just shocked at the amount of stuff that I didn't do. Like, I kind of thought, like, but when we played, I was like, I wanted to so I'm always so weirded out that we could have and
Yeah, kind of first time, not really going on, like a user guide or whatever.
It makes me feel like I'm always, whenever I'm playing through the game, there's lots of different ways you can handle it. I think Undertale did a good job of it as far as the sort of format where you kind of make a decision early on. It's not the perfect sort of way to handle it, but it's better than people saying, oh, you didn't click on the
Yeah. So from Undertale, you pretty much learn how to and
so that you can discount it? Are you making it clear to the player you can avoid this if you just don't want to participate in it? Or are you concealing it so that people are forced to go back for a second playthrough in order to experience the full thing? Yeah, like that's kind of how the game presents itself. Path A and Path B in the form of
yeah, and I definitely there are only perceived and I can't 3% of it is definitely so and like if you care about these quest lines and stuff, not just for the power-ups, but you're curious about them, then you should have the ability to, like put that into your daily calendar without a ton of punishment for not seeing story quests. Not making it unless it's designed where they're meant to be optimized, they're meant to be exclusive. Shin Megami Tensei 4 is an example of that, where the people that you choose to align yourself with are against the text. Therefore, strongly drawn exclusively of them, and that's the way the game is laid out. That I'm totally fine with, and that's what Telltale does, is they make you choose between two people.
Since I kind of get labeled sometimes as like a storyteller or like reputation, blah blah blah, that sort of stuff. People do tend to ask me, what are your opinions? listening to him, he was shooting his head. And then the game just completely changes into completely different game. You can't do that.
Yeah, there's always going to be a concentric circle, or like almost like a helix or double helix, where like you have, a branch that goes two ways and it has to come back together and then branch again and back together and branch again, and like you're never really gonna follow through on seeing a full tree that leads you somewhere completely different from that other first path, unless you're playing Shadow the Hedgehog.
It's
That's a full tree of endings, buddy.
It's weird though because I thought it was pretty clear that the game, or like that establishes that the main two paths are hang out with B, hang out with Fred, and then everything else can be experienced. Like I thought there was a clear divide that if you want to hang out with this character, hang out with this character, and you will experience their storyline.
But don't ever miss them. Is what that means.
So were you saying you'd rather the game have clearly sort of indicated that in some way that like
the only way that you can really handle it that way is with some form of open world sort of thing where there's no real ending exactly, but you can, like at any time, go, oh, I want to hang out with this, even after the game is so that you, oh, that's interesting.
So,
that's not bad.
so there's two things here. One, you guys have a little, they tell you in the beginning of the game, hey, certain activities take a step in your day, and you have two activities you can get into today. So, you know when it's about to take up the time, and last, right? So just be aware of that. And then there's Danganronpa, where if you beat the game and you don't finish off the max rates, as it were, with everybody, there's absolutely a mode where you can go and continue to hang out with them in a free roaming scenario where there's no suffering, just follow through on their storyline. Play with it.
Go restart everything up again. And then it's like being told to end in line for a ride, and then they just kick you out and say, no, don't go back to that. Go back home and drive back down to the
That's a good way to visualize it. So I think guys watch Dunham review it again. Because he kind of makes a point about the game certainly could, like, have video games next to it where a thing will say, oh, you need to, like, do your cycle and build the power, kind of like this character, blah, 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 and walking into your thing. So he made a point that, like, that's fine if you want to play games like that, but it's nice to have a game that kind of just starts and just leads you basically to it. Like, the only path that you can even think of is hold triangle to save. And otherwise the game doesn't really tell you anything, so it's like it's weird because it's a visual novel that could have just been a visual novel, but no, it lets you walk from left to right for whatever reason.
It could have been a video. There's no reason why you should.
It could have been an animation.
Yeah.
It could have. But then, like, they did at least give you two paths to kind of walk around. What I'm just saying is that, like, a lot of games lock you in and tell you this is the way it's going to go. Choose your path. And, like, I like that. I'm fine with that. But I also like a game that just kind of, you can talk to people and say, oh, did you know that you can hang out with, like, so-and-so? And you're like, no, I didn't. Like, it doesn't absolutely spell out everything that you can do. And I don't mind a game like that doing it occasionally. Visual novel wouldn't like all games doing that either.
Visual novel is really
Visual novel is nice.
I think the biggest thing about main character is the person who is like swerving off of what they thought their life path was going to be. I've known people to be in that space a couple times in my life.
I know
And that's always, really...
I was going to be a great artist, Willie.
Exactly, right?
You were too.
Yeah.
That's why I liked her starting off. And as time went on, it's like, no, she's fucking stubborn.
It's always that's a really delicate time, and it's a time when you're going to be not the best version of you, So like, give her some benefit of the doubt in that regard. But there's definitely
20 is where you'll definitely not be the best version of you.
Yeah. But there's
The game itself game looks like the best version of what it could have been.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. You know, there's
Like
improvements
the thing
to
I
be made.
approached whenever, like I said, whenever I approached the game, I thought it was going to be this thing where you're trying to help the young person back onto the path where they'll actually be the person that they are. Like, oh, that's a good one. I really like to play this, and it wasn't.
I think your direct input, like to do certain things, like the little bits of morality you thought, like those didn't help. But here's the thing: is that the main plot, like the main outcome, seems to have done that. But you felt like you didn't really contribute. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's also kind of a novel problem. So that's what you mean by like it could also just be an animation.
What else? Like that thing where you put me through that, I never saw that because I never stole it. I thought, why would I steal? I'm trying to make.
So you're trying to feed rats a egg.
I didn't know that.
What do you
How
mean?
was it? Like, she thinks you not
Did you never find a
any
rat?
other way.
Did you never find a rat?
Yeah, I found a rat.
But doesn't she have the line of I should feed these rats?
Yeah, I thought, well, whenever I get home, I'll just get some food. But
Instead of
apparently there's
stealing
no
it from the
food
pet
at home.
No, because
That's the only way of
steal
obtaining
play is very good.
Very good.
Plus,
How
you
can
know
I
why
think
it's
so?
okay to steal? Because that guy at the brand stand hates you.
That's right.
If someone's mean to you, it's okay to take some shit.
That's right. The end of the game should have just been me standing over his body with a knife, just stabbing him over and over. Give me the pretzel. And the rats join in.
And his eyes are still doing that big eye, like staring at you, thinking it's eyes. I think a part of it though is also that like in certain movies as well, when a character comes home or is like coming from a city or something didn't work out. There's often that like that point of reconciliation where they try to find themselves and figure themselves out. But then the movie things start to happen, and to me, the more important threats that arise in the third act, they solve the personal problems because you kind of think it's your life is in danger, then plus your little, issues that you had a little bit.
That sort of brings me to my main problem with the game.
Okay.
It's the ending.
Okay.
It's the fact that so much of her problem swept with the thing that she has. Dissociative disorder. That's a real thing. I've seen comments from people that played the game and say, oh, that's me. Like I actually went through that. I had a dissociative problem where nothing in reality I tried to do reality. It was just things that nothing meant anything. And of course, people solve that problem through the way. Whereas the game solves the problem by saying, oh, it was actually an elder god. Don't worry about it. Everything's solved. And nothing happened. Like, May didn't do anything to correct the problem. There was no actual
Killed a bunch of
addressing
people.
the problem. Well, they did commit murder. That's how you solve psychotic disorders. You go on brutal, murderous rampages.
But the characters at least say, hey, did we just kill a whole bunch of people?
Yeah.
They're like, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really evil.
If they were super cage people, if they were real people.
Yeah. Like, no, they were actually fine. Like, have you noticed anyone missing from town?
More importantly,
they're like, I haven't thought about it.
And more
I did
importantly,
like that. I like that. Some people have this kind of advantage.
and didn't Germ Warfare, wasn't he the one that tossed the dynamite stick? So that
He's the one that promised to blow it up.
yeah, so
He
technically
said, I need to, like, someone asked him for dynamite.
Yeah.
No, asking him to give me something. He's like, I got dynamite. And they're like, okay, sure.
so isn't that technically on him?
Yeah,
For
but
sealing over the
germ
final-
warfare is a flow of
Yeah.
morality. Anything. Germ warfare, my
I'm not
character is
convinced that
weird.
he's actually a human. He's obviously some form of like
How do you feel about the theory
Yeah.
that
the janitor.
how do you feel about the theory that May was just seeing everyone as animals and that they're actually really people? And that explains why they have some animals in their world while also but animal people.
I think he's probably replacing it didn't really come out.
No one talks about how they are an animal, like even the type of animal they are.
Well, we barely ever discuss how we are.
Exactly. But like, May doesn't say, hey mom, what about the neighbor across the street? Oh, that bird that moved in? No. They say, oh, that guy that moved in. Like, they never even give you that. So
The weird animal setting's always weird. Like, dude, that's always really other cats.
Yeah, they don't
Like,
acknowledge it.
are these species or are they races and we're just kind of not addressing it?
Wait, yeah, hold on. Maze X was not a cat.
no, he was a raccoon, I believe. He was a bamboo fiddler.
So there you go.
Well, that doesn't prove anything.
But then,
They could just be interracial mixed.
Oh, but they're not supposed
cat raccoon.
No one's supposed to.
It is forbidden.
A raccoon.
And all you can do is stare lovingly at each other from a distance and say, go smelters.
Usually, smelters, go smelters. Usually, whenever they do that, like Gumball, blue cat, pink rabbit.
Right.
But if they combine, you end up with constellated
Yeah.
an abomination of the
So I would say that like I can totally see something like this. Being like 9 words like whatever. I'm super glad it exists. You know what I mean? It's like I've never played a game quite like it before, so I kind of.
It did have its own voice.
It did.
Which led its voice.
Sure. I'd agree with that too. I'm always going to be a fan of the visual style. I wish my games would take a more approach or like that.
And that was my only just the fact that it sort of lost its own voice at the end because the characters didn't have enough agency to resolve their own problems with them.
I think you're right. I would agree with that too.
How did you feel about the fact that the writing was clearly handled by, like someone who's been on the internet and like
Yeah.
and sort of like it comes
There's
through.
lots of things like that these days.
There is, and I definitely I don't mind it, but I do think that in about a
You
decade
can
or
see
two,
why people would hate it.
I can see
Yeah,
why people would hate
definitely.
it, and I think in a decade or
Persona.
two, it's going to be very dated.
Decade? I'd say
Persona
like
has
half a
that problem in
decade.
spades.
Yeah, anytime that you're like not just meme references, but just basic like no punctuation speech.
Do you mean
You know.
Persona in general, or just like 5?
Persona.
No, Plague. He said
Yeah,
Persona.
Persona, they have little references here and there to memes that were popular.
They
at the
do.
time,
They do have a couple of
dialogue.
references.
In 4 or in 5?
In 5, they do, but they're not.
Because when 4 got made like 9 years ago.
But no one's talking in memes in Persona. They're just literally referencing them. In like, for example, there'll be like a
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
exactly like a question that a teacher asks you, and then one of the answers is a joke answer.
Yeah,
but
you don't mean people speak like
speaking
that.
in
No.
internet speak. Yeah.
I don't mean like memes literally in the context of modern quote-unquote memes. Like if you go further back in time, you can find things that were sort of quote-unquote memes that people didn't refer to as
I don't
being.
know.
Yeah,
I
well,
almost,
there's
I
a
almost
character.
find the Persona way to be more dated
Well,
in a decade, like because people did speak like that for years,
So
rather than putting a meme in as an answer. In a
There's
thing,
there's a character in the game that is like a geek. That's a Hikokimori.
Mhm.
Excuse me.
Yeah, you'd get fucking roasted. if you
Hikikomori,
correct yourself.
and she speaks like internet speak and says things like kek, and
But that's the character.
but that's the character
Yeah.
exactly right. And I feel that like
Okay, well,
with Night in the Woods, for example, it's part of it is a little it's a
Yeah.
glaze over the whole like tone, not just one or two characters.
Yeah, all the characters like that.
I wouldn't say all the characters, but all the characters of a certain age bracket, like Ghost Melters will
Yeah.
never say anything like that. The characters that would speak like that do speak like that, you're right.
Something
Pastor
I
K
said
doesn't-
this in some of my
Exactly.
videos. There's a cartoon called Star Butterfly versus the Forces of Evil. I think it is. It's a Disney show.
Really?
Almost all the characters are like that. And you can tell that the writers are all kids of that age, and they all talk like that in the writing room. And so even if they come across a character that is thousands of years old and they lived in this other dimension all this time, then they'll still do like the dumb cool kid hand motion and say stupid like meme sort of things.
Right. At
It's
the
like, don't do that.
but there's a cat and it says "Get smoked" on it, and that will be timeless.
No one said get smoked in years. It's awesome.
Fucking great. Okay, we should move on.
But that's my week.
Cool.
Big boy, the big week.
Yeah. So we can take this one
I
away.
came prepared this time. Usually I'm
did.
just like, it worked.
Okay. So I guess before we get into the con that we checked out, um, I'm gonna say like I'm just gonna put it out there, and you know you tell me as well.
I'll
because,
tell you as well. I'm looking at you.
yeah. So I sat down after having a pretty packed weekend. Went like, all right, I'm gonna see if I can marathon all of Castlevania last night,
Oh, that's easy.
and then
4 episodes.
yeah, but it was 3 in the morning,
That's harder.
and I was like, I'm not gonna make it if I do this now. So I didn't watch Castlevania yet.
I watched the first episode.
Okay.
What a story.
What a story,
Yeah.
Mark.
So there's that. I'm probably pretty close to the end of P5, so that's gonna be wrapping up for me soon. Holy fuck, those games just don't.
Are you sort of jumping in and out of it, or do you have like
No,
long
No.
he's putting in the time.
I'm
every
putting
week.
in the time, and
so it
I'm,
really is that long?
it's just that long.
Good job.
And I'm well over 100 hours at this point, and I'm like not even doing I'm not playing as like obsessively as I did the previous games.
You're playing like garbage this time.
I like before I used to go talk to people to find out like all their like dialogue changes and stuff like that
Right.
over the course of weeks. I'm not even doing that this time. I'm just doing 2 things a day and moving on, doing the dungeon, moving on, and it's still just it's fucking long. There's nothing else to say about it. So anyway, yeah. So what I did do though was watch all of Glow, because that I started before Castlevania dropped and finished that off. And yeah, man, Glow's really fun.
It's really fun.
It is like it's not perfect,
No.
but the reasons why it's not perfect are mainly just because like the jokes hit and miss, you know.
I think the jokes that miss were meant to.
Maybe
We designed this joke to fail.
Yeah.
but
It's a joke.
I feel like some of the comedy like it just I was like yeah, and some of it I was like oh that's hilarious genuinely.
Because I remember laughing out loud maybe once, 3 times, but a lot of times I went, that's really good. But I didn't laugh.
You're right.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
that.
To qualify this, the Glow is the thing about female wrestlers in the 80s.
Glow
Yeah,
is
it's-
gorgeous ladies of wrestling.
It's a fictional take on the real wrestling league from the 80s, so
Just to establish that for our listeners.
yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, that was going to be the next step was explaining what that was. 10 episodes. It's on Netflix, and it's got Allison Brie in it, and Mark
Does
Maron.
not,
It does not have
No.
Allison Brie.
no.
Okay.
No, sorry, it does. I thought you meant Brie Larson.
Jesus.
I'm looking at a synopsis. The first thing it says is Allison Brie stars as Ruth
Yeah, I'm
Longmore.
like staring at Matt like, is this a bit? I don't know where this is
I
going.
thought you were saying Brie Larson, but you
No.
can understand why I'd be mixed up with those 2 very similar names.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Tom Cruise is not in
Like
it.
like last week when
not.
when I said
I apologize.
when I said Elle saves the world, and like you corrected it,
Yeah, was I wrong?
and then someone else corrected it, but then I was like, no, Elle saved the world. That's what it is. And like my brain just didn't register that the words save and change were being corrected. It's called Elle changed the world.
Oh, so we're both wrong.
So that's what it was exactly. And I thought so. I just didn't even.
You said L save the world. I'm like, that's too correct.
No, I said Elle saved the world.
Save the world.
Yeah. So you've heard me say save. And then
Okay.
Trey said the same thing. It really does. But the point is what I besides the fact that some of the comedy does it the wrestling is non-existent. When I was like when I was they don't the first so this is one of those situations where you're watching basically character drama behind the scenes. And their versions of like learning how to wrestle and like what wrestling is pretty much just promos and like occasionally exchange. It's kind of yeah, but the original is really understated. You know?
I haven't seen it.
Look at that.
You're not
2.5.
because
So no, the I said was my kind of, they have
I got salty stuff.
yeah, yeah, and they have like actual WWF
They have
footage.
Brodus Clay is one of the brothers of a female wrestler, so he's in there. Yeah, they have actual WWE footage. Isn't that shocking?
WWF footage, and like it shows you like no, they got the rights, they got the okay, they're making references here, but at the end of the day, you're not seeing them doing a ton of it, I suppose. So, but it's still an enjoyable show, and it's still worth it. And I don't imagine.
What about the intro? Did it play for you the other episodes, or was it just the first one like me?
There was no intro outside of
The opening one.
the first episode.
Yeah, which the intro's hype as fuck.
Yeah, and then it never comes back. All they do is they have that little like it's glow, and then it's gone.
Which I don't mind, but I'd rather see the full one.
And I'm really bummed that I didn't get to see wherever that clip was, where the camera's in the ring and the neon glowing ropes are behind them. I'm so upset that we never saw that.
Must be just an effect.
It was
trailer.
some promotional thing that never showed up anywhere, and it's the coolest shot in the entire thing. Is like again like everyone in the ring doing that 360, and the ropes are neon Tron colors.
So
fucking cool.
So if you're a little disappointed in the lack of wrestling, like Glow, the actual league ran for a couple of years. So
there can be a sequel.
There definitely can be a sequel, and then be wrestling all the fucking time.
Yeah, I guess so. I
really liked.
Maybe that's the reason why I got canceled in the first place. Historically, they just didn't wrestle.
No, apparently, after you want to watch, on Netflix they have the documentary about Glow where they talk to the real life. You should watch that.
Because I never even looked up the real thing at all.
I never even knew it existed.
If this ended and they're like, we did that one episode and we're done, like I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be like, okay, cool.
It was for a few years. But to why it folded in the documentary, that they talked to some of the actual wrestlers, they're like, don't know why. Okay. They just closed it up like we were doing fine. We're not sure.
Well, the show tells us why.
Well, wasn't it started by a guy that had way too much money and not enough sense?
I mean, that's basically what the story is about. Yeah. It's one of those situations where, like, people want to make this thing, but no one knows what they're doing or how to do it. But it's fun, and it's dumb fun, and I think it's worth checking out.
As most ideas.
Did you watch Castlevania Plague?
No, I've seen the trailers and everything for it.
Okay. So
for some reason, whenever it was announced initially, I thought it was going to be live action, and then it showed up, and it's like, oh.
It's like Voltron, Defenders. It's like that type of thing. It's like American anime-ish, kind of. It's hard to describe.
Yeah, so I guess we'll talk about that next time.
Yeah, I'll watch the rest of it. I'll tell you.
Guys will.
I watched the first episode, but I watched the rest of it over my shoulder because I was working at the time, and a friend and Leanna were watching. So they were watching, so I'd look over every now and I'd see like a hype thing. They'd be like, One thing I do have to say is that like while everyone's like, oh my god, Trevor Belmont's the best. Trevor Belmont's played by the actor that played Thorin Oakenshield in the Hobbit movies and also played Red Dragon in the Hannibal show. Richard Armitage. His voice acting is really good. One thing I wasn't really like into was how much he fucking swears, like fucking this, fucking that, fuck. Like I don't mind like in extreme circumstances, but like when I think of Castlevania, I'm fine with blood, and there's a lot of it in the show. Like it's just as bloody as fucking like a Vampire Hunter or whatever.
I'm fine with these heads being impaled on pikes, but this potty mouth is
It's just like Japanese things. Like I like violence always makes sense to me, but when people are speaking very American style, like fuck you, you fucking bastard.
Fuck are you?
It's very it's very like Western.
You lose your message.
Yeah.
Whenever if you have a dialogue and you have a story, don't kind of muddle it with like if the character is someone that just can't stop swearing for whatever reason, there ought to be a good reason for it.
It does present that Trevor is like really fed up with his lineage, and he's a drunk and stuff. But even when he's fighting, and there's some gore, like in the later episodes, there's some gorgeous animation, like complicated shots of two people fighting with knives, swords, like really nice stuff. Like the fact that this is a thing and Berserk is playing next to it at the same time is just embarrassing. Like it makes it look way worse in comparison.
Does it feel accurate, or does it feel like it's doing its own thing?
It's a mix. It's more or less like a remake of Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. So it has Alucard, it has Sypha, and it has Trevor. But a lot of people I feel very weird. Like I haven't watched the remaining 3 episodes, but a lot of people feel weird that it's only 4 episodes, and that's weird.
Wait,
Because
that's it?
yeah, because
that's the whole thing.
no, they already
Season
got
1?
renewed for a second season,
Yeah.
but the general
Oh.
idea is we're not confident in this. He's having a rough
Okay,
time,
yeah.
folks. Um, they were feeling very unconfident like this. Is this people gonna like this? So they only ordered like 4 episodes to be made, to see how it goes. And so people are like, this story feels weird because it's just enough to be something, but there's not enough to like 4 episodes is
It's a
such
British
a weird
season.
amount.
What-
Yeah,
what
but
is-
it's not made in Britain, I don't think, so they don't know how to handle
What is
it
the
correctly.
what is the story to it? Because
It
I
just
can't really
seems to be
think of much of a
Dracula.
story for these things.
Dracula's attacking this
Drax
town.
back, no?
Dracula's attacking this town. People are fucking fed up. Trevor Belmont comes into the scene. They're like, "No, you're Trevor Belmont. You're like Belmonts. You're a cursed family. Get the fuck out of here." He scuffles with the priesthood, the church, and then he just gets kind of wrapped up in fighting Dracula. I don't know much of the plot outside of that because I didn't watch the last 3 episodes.
That's the first thing that I thought about whenever I heard like Castlevania adaptation. I think, well, don't you just go to a place and then there's Dracula and you kill him and that's it?
And like,
The Alucard is like fighting against Dracula as well, and then there's like a whole magic clan.
four
where
episodes.
Sypha's come
Four
from.
episodes is 1 2-hour movie.
Yeah, I guess, but it's cut like a
show.
A show, or like a 4 episode anime. But it's you know, I need to see the rest. But
Yeah,
I was impressed with
I'm-
what I did. See.
I say it very often, but I love me some OVA style.
You do. It's
miniseries.
been a while.
Read or fucking die. We don't need too many episodes. Just give me the good shit. Keep it short. FLCL, you know,
Yeah,
Hooly
I was about
Cooly,
to say,
whatever.
it's
Like,
coming out soon.
yeah, just keep it short and keep
Season
it
2
sweet.
and 3 is not one thing; it's 2 of them.
Of course.
Okay.
But yeah, so there was Glow, and fucking Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh, I thought you said you fucked Spider-Man.
That's a week.
I'm down. Although this current
I think
this
you
cinematic
might get
universe
sent to jail
might
there,
be
Willie.
a problem. So let's end
That's
that
not
bit.
okay.
Spider-Man Homecoming was really
Wally wants you to
really
see his
good.
Lego collection.
Spider-Man Homecoming was fantastic, and you
It
know
was.
what? It's about as great as you expected it would be because it follows the formula to a T. So, you know, the basic idea of the Marvel movie that's got that 50% jokes, 25% action, 25% sad, and it was really like it takes you all over the place. It's fucking a great way to reestablish the character. I like some of the changes they make.
I
That
did too.
separates it from the previous franchises. I'll say. I like how it's not the Tony Stark show that everyone was afraid it was going to be.
It was. He's in like 2 shots.
Everyone was afraid it was going to be the Tony Hawk, though. It was going to be Iron Man 4, and it wasn't. Fucking Vulture is fantastic.
Vulture is not fantastic until a point happens where I'm like, Vulture's fantastic.
Vulture is great, and
Things you would not expect yourself to say.
Yeah,
Like 2 years ago. What a
because like
great villain.
I hate Vulture generally. He's like my
Michael
favorite.
Keaton, though.
Yeah, he's one of my least favorite. Whenever he shows
Yeah,
up
he's
in the
lame every
comics,
time.
He's lame every
fucking
time.
Oh, I'm young, I'm old, I'm young. What are you?
I'm young and old. What am I?
Just a baby in a Vulture
Fucking
costume.
sucks. It's garbage.
He sucks.
I'll
but-
stop you from being young and old, Vulture. Take this, I'm Spider-Man.
But Michael Keaton is fucking great, and it's also apt because not only is he the Batman, but he's the Birdman. And the design of that villain is not like
It's pretty slick.
It's-
Like they've
you
tried to
know?
armor up Vulture before, and it's never been a great.
And
But this time,
And like every time you bring out a villain nowadays in a major MCU movie, especially, or in anything for that matter, like I complained about this with Ultron. Don't try too hard. If you try too hard with the way the villain's mannerisms
and
come
the way
off-
the villain has a link to the heroes, you know.
yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
You could go that route too. But
No, I mean, don't try too hard with that as well.
But I feel like just the personality that you insert if you're trying too hard to get a quirky, interesting villain, you want to get that Loki factor a second time.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get it. Okay.
That's the thing about writing. Like, it doesn't have to be a villain, but writing a character is a quirk or mannerisms are good for like putting on top of an existing character, make them even more of a person.
Yeah.
But they don't replace being someone.
And that was Ultron's biggest flaw.
Yeah.
Was all they had was we're trying to turn the
I
quirk
hate
into a
Ultron.
villain, and it was not working at all.
Sorry, I hate fucking movie Voltron. I think Voltron comic
Ultron.
Voltron. Sorry, Voltron. Yeah.
Jesus.
Defender of Marvel.
No, but I was combining Vulture and Ultron. I didn't mean to say Voltron, Defender of Earth. It's fucking
Could've
the
been
worst
Ultron.
villain ever.
Right.
Ultron would be like, what advantage do I have merging with fucking Vulture?
So in you know,
Why did I do this?
yeah.
This is a terrible plan.
But like the whole thing with it to me is kind of just like, you know, either don't even try. Like Ronan the Accuser is just Ronan the Accuser. I'm just angry villain man.
Every couple of months, I forget who the villain of fucking Guardians of the Galaxy was.
Right? But then Kurt Russell's gonna be Kurt Russell.
I know, yeah.
So that's fine. You're like, yeah, I know what you're getting when you put that guy there and call him Ego.
I'll remember Ego
It's
forever.
you're fighting Kurt Russell, you know.
You're fighting a giant Kurt Russell face in the sky.
So you know, like all of this it's a delicate balance, and in this case with Vulture, they got and they picked an angle that worked that we hadn't seen before. That
Yeah.
wasn't trying too hard, but
I'm not old. I'm not yet.
I'm
that
not. There's
bullshit.
no, you know what I mean. It's not any of this like maniacal, exactly. Like not just full of like the bullshit that we got from Doctor Octopus in 2, where suddenly I want to blow up the city.
I'll talk about that in a little bit, but yeah, that's my go-to example of like, you know, everyone's like Spider-Man 2 is the greatest. It's like I look back on it at the time I was like, yeah, but then I think about it really hard, like fucking everything about Doctor Octopus is like kind of terrible.
The Spider-Man villains is none of the Spider-Man villains are like world enders. They're not trying to
No.
destroy the planet. They're not trying to establish any world order. They want money. They want to steal something.
Or they want
That's
to
pretty much
just
all
kill Spider-Man. Like, some of them
Basically,
just
Sinister
kill him.
Six. Yeah, they're
Like,
crooks.
their most basic human element as a character is just
I'm
Yeah.
colorful.
Yeah.
I have a lot of
So-
color in my costume.
So Vulture, you know, the angle they go for
Wants to get paid.
he's just fucking blue collar, but he's not like Falcone, like, you know, blue, like he's not like, oh, I'm a mobster or whatever. He's
He's
fucking
kind of a good guy.
construction worker, you know, like it's fucking great. So I really like the idea that that they followed through on, and then of course all the way of the new Peter, right, is young and
Kind of a fuck up.
really big fuck up, like
Which I like.
super young, and it works, man. It just works. The jokes land really
I
hard.
think I laughed harder in this than any Marvel movie. Like I'd say it was like 75% laughs. Like some things hit really hard. Some things I knew were coming.
Yeah.
Like, you know, his friend Ned. Remember, he gets caught in a computer lab, and
Yeah,
a teacher
yeah,
asks
yeah,
him.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
gonna say this,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
watching
yeah.
the screen, and he says it
Yeah,
so
yeah,
slowly,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
still fucking laugh.
You know, that like all those bits worked out, and it was genuinely touching at points. You know, and I felt like
No origins at all. Thank God, not even a flashback of origins.
No, not
Someone
even a
said,
hint.
"You
Couple
were
of
bitten by a
words.
spider." He's like, "Yeah, did it hurt?" Yeah, I guess.
That's it.
That's it.
We're moving on. And they do the thing I love, which is like to really separate it and kind of make this guy his own. Make this his own Spider-Man. He fucking, not only does he fuck up and have the usual like, God damn it, shit, I can't explain it because that's the Spider-Man's life and I can't ever explain. He looks so times in this movie.
Like fighting or Peter Parker.
Both. And there's a zoom in target moment that I don't want to elaborate on. That is towards the end of the movie, where he looks fucking like he's so pathetic and sad and defeated and dead.
Oh yes, oh man, that's
So
amazing.
Dick Stallone was like, oh my god, you're fucking getting huge.
Yeah, I know in this moment.
And you
That made an impression on
and
me,
it
too.
hits you in this way that it hasn't with any other
Marvel hero, like in
anyone in the MCU.
Maybe Iron Man 3 when his entire thing came down on him.
Right, the whole
house.
the whole fun of like like this
No
is a
fun
young
in that scene.
this is a young cool kid nerd Spider-Man that's like figuring out the ropes. There's a moment of like this is a child. This is really bad.
In the movie, someone says, you're a 14-year-old kid. And he goes, no, I'm 50.
Yeah,
So he's a child.
They really played that to its strengths, and that made me love it more than anything. I think.
Yeah.
Comic book Peter Parker doesn't get any better as he gets older. Like that's his thread.
Yeah.
He's just not. He's capable, but he has very big problems with things like self-esteem and guilt over things that he didn't do correctly, and so forth and so on.
And that's about
That's
it. Yeah. You did not see the film Plague?
I have not.
Okay.
Because movie theater.
Sure.
Very far away.
One thing I
My
have
life
to
is empty.
give a shout out for is that I was always confused about the casting of this film in terms of girls. I was like, Zendaya? Who are you? I don't know. Oh, she plays the love interest. That must be what it is. And I'm watching the movie. Don't worry. I'm watching the movie and I'm like, oh, okay. No, I must be mixed up. And then they have like a little surprise towards the end. I'm like, oh, okay. I like that a lot better, right? That's all I'm going to say about that. But the other thing, I forgot Hannibal was in this film as a gym teacher.
Not only
Has one of the best scenes of
Not
the movie.
only is Hannibal Buress in this movie, he sent a look-alike to the red carpet
premiere.
that basically put some shades on and pretended to be him. And a ton of news outlets fucking had no idea and got caught interviewing some rando that pretended to be Hannibal Buress. And he's not even a real look-alike. Like, he vaguely looks like him.
Sunglasses.
He's just a black guy with a shaved head and sunglasses.
Hollywood press is racist.
It was great.
And the other thing is, Willie, there are 4 Spider-Man villains in this movie.
Yeah.
And one of them is not even said by name. One of them just has his dossier, like his police record, show up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about? He's another famous actor.
Okay.
No?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I couldn't believe. I like that. 4 villains, all kind of what Plague and what we've been saying. They're kind of just jobber criminals that want money, and they're all just kind of there, and they're all just kind of hanging out in the movie, like very low key, and I'm like, that's awesome. Plague, the reason why I asked if you've seen it is because there's something I think you would appreciate. There's this running joke where, since it takes place in a very like high school environment, I always felt the high school shit in Spider-Man 1 was awful. Like it was
When you think
very
of high schools, you think of me.
Well, I'll tell you in a second, but like that was very 1950s Spider-Man. Sorry, 1960s and 70s, where it was just very, I'm a tough jock and I'm gonna punch you because I'm bigger. And that was basically all it is, because that's what Sam Raimi liked. Like that's what the Spider-Man he grew up with. But in this
Slow
motion
punches.
in this movie they spent a long time on like
I think I'm gonna
kind of
pass.
maybe like 90s high school stuff where there's this show that plays. It's like the nerds or like the prom queen, whatever. They're on this show that plays in the high school and the monitors that they have, and they're like, hi, it's the Tiger High School Minute, and I'm Betty Brant, and I'm so and so, and then they give you the updates on the school, like, oh no.
So you're
we-
the
we-
adventurer of
we
whom I've
failed
heard
at
so.
the
Well met,
fucking
friend.
football game, or we won
I have
the,
awaited your coming.
the spelling bee. They'll have these 2 kids, and they'll
That's
have
a lot.
awkward zoom-ins on their faces.
It's edited like Awesome
Please.
Town, basically.
They have awkward zoom-ins, titles that appear too late.
Yeah.
They have Comic Sans fonts
No
all
doubt
over.
you are right to
They'll
first.
They'll
Let-
miss their cue constantly.
We are
Like,
the
and
scions
as
of the
a
seventh
student,
dawn.
that's so
Homecoming
And
is
good.
coming
among
up.
our
Do you
gravest
have anyone
concerns,
to
their
go
existence
with?
is
Yes,
a
I
bane
do.
upon Eorzea.
Zoom
So
in
whenever
on
you-
my face.
Our orders, home to
Yeah,
a
that's
number,
at the
this
moment,
talent
you
takes
know.
very...
So whenever you see poorly
Tell me,
edited
have you
content,
ever had the
see
sensation?
Um,
All
wow,
these
this looks like
things are the
trash.
manifestations
I
of
thought
the
it
echo
was
allows
that
you to
would
pass
laugh
through.
at that
You will
because
be
it's
there in
such
his
a-
memories
they're
and see
like
things as he
5
saw them.
Guess what?
You may,
That
for another
entire
blessing,
concept
the
Yeah.
echo will
is
enable you.
apparently
In
a real
short,
thing
it
because
is only a shame
like,
that
girlfriend works like with schools and things
that's
like that.
right.
Modern day
That entire
schools.
concept of
With that
doing it,
established,
like,
so
no,
long
that's
as
how
they
it comes
exist,
There
out.
are TVs
Yeah.
where school
Measures
like, in schools
must
where
be
people are-
taken.
They put it together.
Measures which
No, no, no,
transcend.
no.
Make
For
no
schools.
mistake.
That
The
didn't
echo.
exist in my day. You
No,
know.
it didn't
I
exist
know
in my
not,
day.
but I
thought you were
firmly
saying to
believe-
me that they put it together. like
Why
that.
else would the gods entrust man with the
Right,
gift?
right,
And
right.
so
No,
I.
there's no way.
Yeah,
I want to
no.
go back to school now.
High schools now have smart boards.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That's
This
crazy.
is bullshit. You shouldn't be allowed to have things I didn't have.
Bullshit.
Exactly.
Take that away from them.
But yeah, other than that,
So there, and like besides those secret, you not secret, but you mentioned like there's little like nods to villains here and there and whatnot. And there is a like tangential character as well that is a really good nod. That I guess is bittersweet. You know, there's I guess a bittersweet cameo in the movie.
okay.
I mean, the fact that it was announced long enough early on that Donald Glover was making an appearance.
Yes.
And how they handled that was, I'm happy with it.
Okay.
I like what they did.
Okay.
I like what they did. So,
Also have to say, like the credits, the post, not post credits, the actual credits that they're all fun and animated.
Mhm.
It's probably one of my favorite Marvel, credit scenes ever. I know that's weird, but it's all cutouts.
Really,
it's all,
really fun
It's all
credit
fun,
sequence.
like Spider-Man animation of him in different styles. It was just so fun to look at.
post-credit stinger is probably my favorite
So
one.
we're waiting, and someone asked me, our friend Chris Rex. she's
Don't
sitting
say
next
what
to
it
me.
is.
No, I'm not going to say what it is. She's like, "Is there another scene?" I'm like, "I don't know. There's always one. There's always usually one after. Let me check." And I found an article that says the post-credit scene, the one that happens when all the credits are done, it is the best Marvel one ever. And I was like, okay, I'll watch it. And like, it isn't to me, but it was still really good.
I didn't read that article, so I was sitting there going, they're probably going to do something.
Yeah, I shouldn't have
And
read that article.
then got the surprise of that, and that was great.
No, I didn't get the surprise of what it was. I just shouldn't have read the thing that said, "Oh, it's the best."
What
one."
I will say is I'm happy that like this has become a thing now, because before the MCU even started, I used to sit and watch credits in case anything came.
Because old
And-
movies did do it
Every once in a while, but also sometimes I want to check out the soundtrack. I want to see who played what. I want to check out.
That's important,
You know,
too.
was Weta involved? I enjoy finding that stuff out. So it was a really good one in this case. And then I guess there's that news thing that came up and basically said that Spider-Man 2 is going to mark the start of the new saga, and that Avengers 4, aka Infinity War,
I take it
is
you
going
will
to
help
mark
us.
the end of a 22
Wonderful.
movie saga.
But come, tell me.
Avengers
It used
4,
to be
not
one of
Avengers
the
3,
Charlians.
Avengers 4, Infinity
Among
War
their
Part 2.
number, when
Well,
the
okay,
realm
yes,
began,
That's Avengers 4, yeah.
those
It's going
say
to mark the end of a
The-
22 movie saga.
Welcome.
That's insane when you
Okay,
think about
my-
it.
Yeah.
Can you? Okay, that is.
Here's our
I understand
man.
how
Here-
good the movie will end up being.
Welcome
Probably
to the
the most
team.
Impotent,
If I'm-
thing to ever be on screen.
Greetings.
Just because of that. There's no way.
I
that you
have
can
been
jerk off someone for 22
La-
movies and expect
Everyone's being.
explosion
payoff of a
that
century.
covers the ceiling.
The payoff of 2
Words
decades.
of a dear friend.
Yes.
I know how.
This is the
at the
first time
Battle
it's
of
ever
we
happened,
sought
so
out
I know how everything
Alone?
just dies, and we go to
Oh.
Ultimate Universe, and then it just,
Well,
you know what I mean?
Start
it-
over.
if it wins,
Just
like the
gets
comic
fucking
book.
hell.
Yeah.
If
Why
it goes
not?
the same way the actual Infinity
In
Gauntlet
time.
thing went, then
But-
maybe.
Maybe.
I would
maybe.
assign you.
But yeah, I also just like well,
Urianger.
Aye, my lady.
I want to go watch Spider-Man again this week.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's a good rewatchable.
We
It
have
is really
received-
content.
Thancred.
I will point out that you guys were talking about. You were
It
mentioning
would
like
be
little
my
nods and
some
things.
days ago.
Nods
but
in movies
that-
and references are sort
At
of
a
like
glance,
the quirks
such
and
crime-
mannerisms
However-
of making a movie. In the terms of like you can have a
Aye,
character and then put
the
mannerisms
evidence
and
left
confidence
behind. If
to
we then
make it even
consider
more
the
memorable.
objects that were
The same
taken,
thing goes with a
there
movie.
is
The
no.
movie has to be good, or
That
else
you may
those
better
nods don't mean
understand the nature
Yeah,
There's
of
plenty of shit comic book
You-
movies that have plenty
if
of
the-
nods that just are just trash in it.
Yeah,
Ever.
no, these nods are more like they very very lightly set up a character, but don't go overboard with that character. They're just like hinting, like, yeah, this might be a thing in the future. Like, I know what you mean, like a bunch of cameos or just. I'm trying to think of a game that or a movie that does it
The
like
spirit
badly.
is overflowing with nods to Eisner and all of his work, and
Yes.
it's a bad movie, so none of those
I
nods
still
mean
haven't
anything.
ever watched The Spirit.
It's visually interesting,
Yeah, I know.
but that's all we can say about it.
Um, like I'd say Guardians of the Galaxy has more nods and references that are meaningless and just there for a laugh, whereas the ones I kind of mean in Spider-Man with dancing around it are more like substantial and that this might be important later on. Whereas like, hey, Guardians of the Galaxy has like the fucking space dog in the suit just like hovering there, or something in a glass
Yeah,
container,
I guess.
you know. So those are the things that are just there for fun, and that's it. Whereas like things in Spider-Man actually set up like potential plot threads in the future, and like any one of them that this movie sets up, I'm like I'm down for that. I wouldn't
The
mind that.
ones,
So.
the
I
ones that are really rough are whenever you see like a documentary or something on the disc, and they say, "Oh, we had this thing that was in a jar in the far background, and you can just see it for like one frame."
Yeah.
And then they actually show you the thing, and it's this perfectly handcrafted, beautiful thing. Like, no, what, so much effort, complete, not wasted, but still. There's no way anyone would have appreciated it.
Yeah.
I definitely do appreciate though that a lot of the movie is presented with the lens of we know you're exhausted of this character, and we're trying. Like I feel there's so much of it that's just kind of like we know you've seen it five
That's why
times.
Spider-Man has so much new shit. Like his
We're
fucking
trying to do
suit
it. We're
does
trying to
shit
do it
that
different. Yeah.
Tobey Maguire's face would explode if he was using this crap.
You know, and they even like give more play to the wrestling outfit Spider-Man of like
Almost.
hoodie and pajamas.
Yeah.
He gets a bunch of play as well.
I actually like by the end of his scene where he's wearing that shitty like version. I was like, I actually like this like his
It's
little
not
goggles.
bad. It's not bad.
I was like, they're super cute.
Yeah.
I like those.
I always enjoyed alternate costumes where it's just like they're wearing a hoodie and it has like it's just very lightly altered. And stuff
The
like that.
DIY
I always enjoyed
version.
those.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
Finished off Attack on Titan season 2 ends incredibly
Oh,
strong.
so did I. I forgot about that.
There is and so it's funny because that actually has a similar moment to what I was describing with Spider-Man, where you just get raw emotion in a way that is like not. I guess it's like the strength comes from the voice acting, right? And the strength of the scene I was describing in Spider-Man comes from the acting, and the strength of one of the conclusion of Attack on Titan season 2 comes from the voice acting. There's a really great moment that
At the very end.
at the very end, it doesn't sound like those typical stressful scenes should sound. You know, when someone gets upset and angry in anime, there's a very predictable, expected way that it's going to go. And in Attack on Titan season 2, as with the rest of the season, they go for something a little bit more believable. You know, because people are not fucking two-dimensional. You know, and these characters.
In most anime,
They tend to be, exactly, you know, but they're really trying to make the characters, I feel, in Attack on Titan do things that you don't see a lot of anime characters doing. You know,
Yeah, I've gotten this. The amount of times you talk about Attack on Titan seems like it's really
and that's
doing its hardest to make flesh these characters out more.
that's why I'm loving this particular, you know, take on it so much is just that whenever I see something going like, oh wow, I can't remember the last time I've ever
I've
seen
seen
a
that
fictional
happen,
character
yeah.
do that. That's really cool. And when you have multiple people doing these subtle things that are like, people don't behave this way, you know, or rather, characters don't behave this way, but human beings do.
Yeah. And you're unused to watching it. You're like, oh, what am I watching?
Yeah, and it hits hard when it's a dramatic moment. So, there's definitely, you know, there's some wipeouts.
Some action in this
There's some-
anime.
some
People get wiped out.
yeah, man, some soldiers getting wiped out. And you know, I once again I'll say finish that off, man. Get into it. It's a really good anime waiting for you.
I need to watch Berserk first.
Yeah. I had gone into listen. I went into the season 2 already knowing everything because I wiki dived at some point, and I
Sure.
also had read. I'm not entirely up to date with the manga, but I did read quite a bit of it ahead of that point. So I did have quite a few moments where, like, there's a big reveal supposedly at the very end. Where they're like, "Oh, this," and I remember whenever I first read it, which is how I first got that information years ago, whatever, how long it was. I remember thinking, "Wait, they don't know that? Shouldn't that be obvious?" And this time, I had the same thing where it's like, "Oh, okay, you didn't know that? Oh yeah, that's right. I guess they are not supposed to know that. But is that really that big of a surprise?" And with no context, I guess that's not going to be much of a payoff as far as discussion goes, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, and they're usually pretty good with that stuff. There was that one slight one of like, you figured out every other weird little.
That you didn't figure this out.
Yeah, everything in the series, whatever like the show gives you a hint of something as to like the truth or whatever, your brain goes a million miles a minute because that's what is pulled you into that's what pulled you to begin with.
Right.
And then the
You
character.
can you can tell how the thing was written in the first place. Like he had an idea, and then afterwards, I need to make sense of this. You can tell.
Always like with
It is so hard.
like with any death game, like with Gantz, like with Battle Royale,
Death game.
whatever that fucking one where the Twitter will kill you one is.
Yeah, that's what
You know, like
I'll push you onto a spike.
there's always a cool, interesting death game premise, and you don't know why it's happening or who's doing it. But then when the truth comes out, it's really cool. And you know,
Because of me reading ahead and wiki diving, I kind of know everything about the setting that I could conceive of being a big revelation. So Attack on Titan is one of those things where I'm waiting for it to be over just so that we can have a spoiler cast where I go, what? If that doesn't make any fucking sense, and just have a big long discussion about that.
yeah, I
Until
can't
then,
wait
it's
for
going to
that.
be super frustrating.
Because
Because even the motivation for why the whole series is happening doesn't really make any sense.
oh, don't say that. Damn it. I was hoping it'd be a good
To
one.
me,
I was hoping.
there is you
All
can
right.
sort
said
of
to me, and
rationalize
that's
it.
what
All
counts.
right.
But the main point with Attack on Titan is the characters. It's not the big overarching thing,
Yeah.
which I think they're really trying to drive home with season 2 because they're really focusing more on that than revelation. Because that's one of the problems with I think, especially amateur writers, I guess, is this focus on there needs to be a big thing where everyone gets like Shambalama Ding Dong is bad about that, where it's that like you're just waiting for that, and then whenever you figure it out, it turns out either it doesn't make any sense, or it wasn't that interesting in the first place, or even if it's good and you rewatch the thing and you get like one more viewing out of it where like you notice, oh, that thing and this thing is alluding to it the whole time, but then there's no third watching because there's no content.
Is that your cute name for Conqueror of Shambhala?
No, it's
Shyamalan Ding Dong.
Shyamalan.
Yeah.
Shyamalan.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, right. Okay, I was like, my brain was racing. Yeah.
It's closer what your thing is, but
Okay.
Not
So,
close Push me onto a Shambalama Ding Dong.
don't
Ah.
do it. So,
not bad.
Montreal Comic Con. It was a Comic Con. It was
It
alright.
was the biggest one they've had ever.
Walked around, saw people, did stuff. Of significant note was the PlayStation booth that had some demos.
E3 demos.
Yes, I did not get to play the Inpatient, but I watched it for a bit.
Oh no, because you have to be worthy to play VR
course,
games
of
at
course.
fucking cons. now.
Every time.
Hey, let me fucking gripe. This fucking sucks. Stop doing this. Your VR games aren't special. They're video games. Have everyone do a lineup. They come in. They fucking play them. I don't want to take your fucking tickets and come back tomorrow and wait for the appointed time. You can have
Slipping people's
someone.
hands.
It's just the same as any other demo.
So when I went
Maybe
last
an extra
year,
30 seconds to strap on the fucking helmet.
when I went last year and I got hands on with rigs,
Did you have to do this shit?
I
Did you have to
st-
get tickets?
No, I had to stand in line for 3 hours.
Okay. Well, no one's doing that for VR games anymore.
Yeah.
You should make a statement, Matt. Get in line, wait your turn, and then don't put it on. Just stand there with your arms crossed.
Yeah. Well, have everyone look at me while I don't play it. Because
I'm not having fun, and you won't either.
Because the same thing happened at PAX East. There was no one at this fucking booth, and I wasn't allowed to play Farpoint because we have to make it seem exclusive. You can't get in. You need to fucking come by appointment.
Honestly,
Fuck you.
well, I mean, again, I feel like if the last year Montreal Comic Con was at the point of that many hours wait for a couple minutes on a VR game, it's very plausible that anything bigger is going to just be like it's capped at 8 a.m.
But I think after now that all VR devices are out, no one's really that crazy about them anymore. Like it's not that fervor of it's not out yet. I need to try to see if this will change my life.
A lot of people haven't bought them.
Yeah, I know.
So that's why they're like in a convention setting, people walking by going, "Oh, I never got to try that thing."
If someone can say to me definitively that I've run a booth at a con, like yeah, the lines are crazy and they're still doing that, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I think it's to give
I've
the
still never
illusion.
used one.
I think it's to give the
I still have
illusion that
never.
it's this hot ticket item.
As someone who stood in line for half a fucking day,
Yeah, last year.
and
These machines weren't out yet. Play
I know,
PSVR specifically.
I know, but like being at that booth as long as I was, because I like this time around, because of the other games that you could play that weren't
That had no line. Well, Marvel had a decent line when I went.
the whatchamacallit, the VR machine was never empty. It was never idle. There was always someone there.
Yeah, because they force you to come by appointment at a certain time of the day.
It's gonna make me stand in line to get married in my VR machine in virtual life.
I just think the Occam's razor of the situation is that it's way more likely to believe that it really is just that crowded than it's an artificial shortage to make it seem like a bigger deal.
I'd like to be wrong, but that's what my takeaway was.
You're pulling a Nintendo.
What we did get was there were 3 games that I took a look at because they had Bravo Team and that seemed cool. There wasn't.
No, it doesn't.
Seems yeah.
It's just a fucking SWAT shooting game.
But okay. But like when you
I would never see you ever playing that. Why would you even
because the immersive version of that when you're in doing it like with VR with an actual gun like Farpoint type stuff like control is more interesting because it's a new experience.
You want to be in peace.
Guess what?
This is what you want.
I keep going on about X-Wing
What?
because
No, Heat the movie.
Heat the movie.
Played.
Bully and Heat?
Oh god. I keep going on about X-Wing because of the
Yeah, I was about to
experience.
say, that's the one thing that would get me interested
Okay.
in VR. I want a
Right.
full game of being in an X-Wing.
There's been tons of them, and I love the original shooters, but I'm not like a fucking mark out for the current like games that like that. But the experience of doing it in VR is interesting enough that I'm way in. And yeah, and plus it's the Until Dawn guys, right? So
Yeah,
there's
but
that.
like they have 2 other projects that I'm like, okay, whatever.
The
That's
point is that
just taste then.
But yes, but taste aside, they know how to make it good.
Yeah, they
so
do.
I'm interested in the good people doing a thing as opposed to just the theme being whatever. And in this case, so they do that, and then they have the Impatient. The Impatient is not much to look at from an observation, from the observation deck, if you would. Like
No.
you can't really make heads or tails of it from standing in line or standing around looking at a screen of someone else playing it. It's very clearly.
It's audio visual,
yeah.
especially audio.
Because a lot of it is just people
They're
talking to
talking
you
to you.
sitting in a room, you
Yeah.
know? So I could
They
make...
need to change the fucking title. I was struggling to even remember what it was called. Why can't they just call it Until Dawn the Impatient or
Because I
whatever?
don't think it's really related to Until Dawn.
The way the developers struggle
It's
with
directly related.
Is
It is a
it?
prequel to Until Dawn.
Oh,
They
it is-
announced it. Exactly. That's why the name is so bad.
Oh, weird, okay.
Because remember how in Until Dawn they mentioned there was an institute where someone grew up or something.
Yeah, the guy.
This is the institute.
Oh, okay. Cool.
That's why the name
Hmm.
doesn't get across that it is.
Yeah, then they probably would benefit from calling it Until Dawn the Impatient. Like they did with the other Until Dawn thing.
Rush of Blood.
Yeah.
Like, well, if you already established that you do that, why can't you do it again? Are you embarrassed?
Okay, well, anyway,
Would you play Marvel?
yeah, well, I was gonna talk about that right away, because
I was going to say that the way that developers are struggling to come up with ways of implementing VR in an interesting way sort of reminds me of how video games got started in the first place. Like the reason why they were called video games is because they were basically trying to make board games, except you had a video monitor to play them with. So a lot of games at the time had like huge instruction manuals, and they were extremely complicated to interact with. And it wasn't until years later that they finally kind of connected and like, oh, video games should be natural, and you should learn as you play and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So it's going to be one.
The game that I tried out first was Matterfall.
Yeah, how was that?
Matterfall's all right. It's it very much reminds me of a um, faster paced version of Shadow Complex. You're twin sticking your way through the level, shooting things, and just boost jumping and switching guns, grenades. It's very much straightforward in that sense, but it's fun. It's fun. It's definitely going to be something I'd grab and play for a little bit. The the basic premise with like the ability to boost in any direction, and it also creates like a little explosion around you that freezes enemies and turns walls from like solid to liquid and back and forth and stuff is a fun one. Like that thing becomes pretty cool when you're platforming.
I even watched someone play it for like 25 minutes.
Yeah, it's alright. It's alright. I tried out. Well, actually, I played. There's this very difficult indie game. The indie game section was way bigger this time around.
They had like a fucking couch where they're streaming on Twitch. Like
Yeah.
it felt like an actual indie game section.
And Sundered was there doing a lot. Not Sundered.
Sundered,
Yeah.
yeah.
And there's a cool game called the After Grinder, which is just a you can you're 2D moving on rails, grinding on rails. Some of them are on the ceiling, some of them are in the middle, and there's obstacles that kill you everywhere, and you die within seconds constantly. And it was one of these situations of like pass the controller off after each death in like a meat point kind of way.
Yeah.
And whoever makes it to the end of the level wins a copy of the game. So I want my copy. That was
Nice.
cool.
Sounds like your kind of thing.
Of course, and there was Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which I got a bunch of games on, and I have some thoughts that
Because now, like, because we played the story thing before, so you never got any versus matches.
these are the verses. This is the versus matches. And I put most of my thoughts into a video that I'm going to put out tomorrow on Woolly Versus. Because
Why give away that content?
well, you can give it away for free a little bit later. No, so that's going up as Armchair CEO.
Okay.
Marvel vs. Capcom.
So I have a shocking revelation. I saw someone win a match of Marvel Infinite, and Dante's face looks awful in the game. I thought that was joke art. I didn't know that was
you
in
missed.
the game.
Oh, okay.
The weird Dante face was like, I didn't know that's his versus screen win pose.
Yeah,
The dream was real, man.
the models in the story mode are the same as the ones in the game.
Yeah, but even watching the story mode and whatever, like I watched a couple of matches of Marvel Infinite, but never saw one where Dante won.
You thought it was a joke.
I thought it was like a joke or like model data pulled out of an awkward animation. I didn't know this was the shot. They're like, that looks good.
Well,
Let's put it in. I'm shocked.
They love it.
They interviewed one of the dudes that was forced to admit that it was garish, and he did. So
Wish that's the word.
I believe he said something along the lines of it's hard to look at. They chorused it out. So
It's hard to
Say
take
this.
into
Just poke him in the tummy. Say
God
this.
bless.
Say it's
It's
bad.
aggressive.
Yeah.
It demands quite a lot of your audience.
yeah, I mean, but the short of it, I will say, is that while I was in line, most of the conversation being had was about Dragon Ball.
Really?
And
I didn't know that.
other people in line.
I didn't know it was that like invasive that the conversation was like random congoers now.
Well, it came up, when people standing around, like we're watching this. And I will say that this build definitely looks a lot better than the one that we played in the story mode. The story mode demo did more harm than good. I think the story mode demo really didn't help
Like
that out
in
at
how
all.
so? Like just visually?
Yeah, well, because it was outdated. Things looked worse than they do in this one, and the darker stages don't really show the characters off that well. So they made a bad move doing that.
They made the bad thing.
And there's some good moves they could make, which I'll tell you about tomorrow.
I'm about to do your own line for you. Where should you touch?
yeah. So, guess what? My thoughts are really predictable, you guys.
Okay.
I don't have anything unique to say.
This is a great plug for your horrible channel.
It's awful. Uh,
That's my favorite part about the channel.
hey. There was, of course,
Yeah, what?
the very busy kiosks
Very busy.
of David Cage's Detroit Become Human.
Oh boy.
Episode 0.1?
That's over. That was last week.
No, I guess 0.2 then.
Yes.
0.2? Alright. I didn't get to play Detroit Become Human
Amazing.
because I didn't want to, but I sure did stand by and watch some kid play
For
it.
2 minutes.
And that was
What
the
are your
demo.
thoughts?
It was the demo of. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? That was the demo of the beginning cutscene that we saw on stage, where the David type character
Yeah.
was basically walking through
Like a murder scene.
a hostage situation. Well, a murder scene that then turns into a hostage
yeah,
situation. And the casualness with which he's analyzing the crime scene is so weird, because when you walk up to it, I'm like, oh, you're doing like you did in Heavy Rain, where you're investigating a crime.
Like when you're Norman James.
Exactly. And I'm looking and he's doing all the analysis and getting all the details of like, okay, this is what happened with this blood stain, and oh, the pot was on, so they were cooking dinner, and da-da-da-da-da, and he's putting together what happened.
Yeah.
And then you walk outside and the crime is still happening. And the whole time you're casually just browsing around, collecting evidence for a crime that's still in progress.
Like it's continuing to happen outside.
The crime is still right there. It's happening. And I was like, what?
Wait. Why was he there then?
So that's the thing, right? And I gather that maybe,
Was he
playing it.
investigating a crime that he heard about on the street?
So that's the problem, is that I feel like I know he was sent in, and and perhaps maybe I missed the explanation here, and I'm hoping so, because from me observing when I walked in, it seemed like his job was a crime scene investigator,
Yeah.
and then he walks outside, sees the crime in progress, and then becomes a negotiator. So,
Why was he breaking into people's houses?
well, the SWAT team was there, standing around, basically trying to get to negotiate this android from off a cliff, holding a little girl. So he's holding a little girl with a gun to her head at the edge of a cliff,
But
which
this was a cliff?
on the edge of a building.
Okay.
So-
So he's on top of a building. Shouldn't someone have seen him?
He's
And
standing
said,
on
Remember, we're playing a slice of a demo. We don't have all the answers. And the half
standing and with his feet halfway off a building edge,
of a cliff
holding onto a girl with a gun pointed at her.
might have been a
Does he
dog.
want something?
It doesn't matter because you're at the edge, so the gun doesn't do much.
I guess.
But you blow her brains out before you jump? I don't know.
What's the point of having two threats? Where the android could probably jump off the building and maybe be fine, depending on how like tough the androids are built in this game, or shoot the child, then throw a body
Okay, you jump off, then shoot the child on the way down.
then shoot her.
Okay.
No, take the child, jump off with your mighty android body, and do a swinging DDT into a car.
Then juggle the body with your bullets a la Dante
No.
for Smoking Six style.
Okay, no, throw the girl up in the air like at least 20 feet, jump down
Yeah,
really
do a
fast,
launcher.
get down to the ground,
And then juggle her on the way down. I like that.
Juggle her off the boundaries of the map
Yeah.
Yeah.
into an infinite.
So launch her, death from above to the ground, and then shoot her on the way down.
There's
That's-
already so many problems with
That's
this
great.
game.
Now,
Well, it is a game about androids. It's not.
No, it's a game about humanity.
so
That's also true now.
no, it's
This
about
is
none of
good
those
insight.
things.
This is a great podcast.
I don't want to tell you what my game is about. Look. What I did then see was the negotiation scene where he's trying to talk the guy down, talk the hostage down, and visually this game's gorgeous.
It is.
And all the little details, like are cool. While you're walking towards the guy, you see there's a soldier that's down over there, and I couldn't tell, but it almost seemed like you could spend a little bit of time trying to help him out. The kid that was playing was a shit, and he was not very good at it, so it seemed like he was kind of just going,
Not like us.
of course not. So what I can tell that what I saw very clearly was a fail state, and what was interesting was, while you're just saying the right thing or the wrong thing, you're basically taking a guess in the middle of like this kind of Mass Effect conversation moment, to what the person wants to hear, and then it puts up, his rage meter, if you would, the Android rage meter is going high or low, and you want to keep it low to talk him down. But if you don't, then right, rage burst.
Yeah, why would they program the fucking androids to have a rage burst?
So it's a virus or some sort of unintended.
He's really
bug.
angry and not being programmed with emotions.
It's an unintended bug, and he literally says the emotions you're feeling are an unintended bug or glitch.
Emotions?
Yes,
One of those, whatever.
So that's one of the lines, and he's like,
Yeah.
they treated me like a person, but I wasn't, and I didn't know, and so on, right? So it's all that stuff. And then the kid failed, but like the fail state resulted in your main character sprinting towards the edge, and very quickly, right as the guy decides to jump off. So the gun is for nothing. He goes, "It's too late now. I'm gonna make a decision," and he jumps off. So he has the gun in his hand as he jumps off with the girl, but the gun is
This
for
scene
nothing.
doesn't have enough drama.
Good.
Goodbye.
Insert a gun, because why not? But the point is that whatever.
The android could just break her neck if he needed some type of additional threat on the edge of the fucking cliff building. He could have just like hold her neck, and you didn't even need a gun if they wanted to. What Blake said, have an additional drama.
He could have had syringes.
He could have had like elbow blades coming out of
go.
his
Yeah, he would have Baraka skin placed.
A little gas thing to shoot out toxic gas.
Why is he carrying a gun?
Why is it
he could have just had like ants in his fingers that he
ball
watches.
and chain,
Right? Little
Yeah, why
point-
don't? How come he doesn't do a threat and then his chest cavity opens up to reveal a thermonuclear device?
Right. So what I'm
Or
suspecting.
compactor
What,
of his
what,
chest
what I
and
suspect.
Cyrax.
What I suspect is because when you're walking through that scene,
A small
you're seeing people that are shot around the apartment. So I think he shot a bunch of people and then backed up into that corner.
Yeah.
I wasn't there for it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But it seems to be that he shot a bunch of people and then backed up to the edge, and then had the child, and then got into the situation.
And he only needed one hostage to not use.
So what happens is he then drops backwards with the girl to commit double suicide, whatever, murder,
He's
suicide,
a robot. It wouldn't do
murder,
anything.
homicide, suicide, and
Shut up, Plague. Shut up.
and as they're dropping backwards, your David type character sprints and like very smoothly grabs her, yanks her, and uses the momentum to throw himself off, basically. So like he kind of like by pulling her forward, he has to pull himself off the edge.
You know what's amazing? I think that your main character being an android, you know what? I'll believe that. I'll believe you can do that in that split-second reaction. But I'm sure David Cage meant for that character to be human. They're like, David, that would never work. It would be impossible. Why don't we make him into an android? Then he can do it. And he's like, oh, okay.
Well,
But your whole story hinges on him being human, David.
Well, I'm going somewhere unexpected here.
Where are you going?
I'm going somewhere unexpected here
You'll be
because
thinking-
I'll blow my mind, will you please?
because when he grabs the kid, he pulls them off. He pulls the kid off, the girl off, and then falls. And as he falls, and like the ground is approaching, you see his eyes look up, see the girl make it over the edge, analyze the situation, and then the little HUD next to him goes mission successful as he's about to drop and die. That was fucking cool. That
Would have been
moment,
cooler if he had grabbed the dude and like power bombed him.
sure.
Power bomb completed.
But that little moment that they do of like he's pulling a Ripley, right? And then the thing pops out, and then you go, oh, there it is. Okay, she's gone. Right? It's one of those moments of like, nice, I did it, and he's about to hit the ground. It really worked, and that was very cool.
That is unexpected.
So that leads me down the same path as usual, where you're like, God fucking damn it, now we're gonna be in this mess, this worst mess, where it's not the complete train wreck, it's the one that leaves you with well done occasional moments that you have nowhere to go
So
with.
like Beyond.
Like that moment in
Beyond Two Souls.
like that moment in Beyond Two Souls, or that intro to Indigo Prophecy, right? And hell, let's even say perhaps one of those scenes in Heavy Rain,
Right.
where you're like,
One of them.
this is a well done moment. Now what? Right?
Yeah.
Now
Okay, Wooly,
what?
here's my thing. You're hinging a lot of this just on the fact that it says mission complete on his HUD. Like that's the thing that I'm hearing. Other than that, nothing cool really happened in that scene. It's just that scene was enough to set you off and be like, yeah, cool, that's cool.
It was a nicely done moment. The way it zooms in on it, and it's like he's dying. He's about to die, and the last thing he sees before he dies is like, I did it. I nailed it. Mission complete. And it's like he doesn't have a smile, but like his facial expression is pretty much like awesome. Like I did the job, and then
I think you're reading too much into it. I think
Maybe.
you're projecting your ideas.
maybe, but you know what?
I
Is
think
that
Lily,
not
you liking cool things doesn't mean anything you saw was cool.
does
Because the whole like 15 minutes before then, when you were explaining why this was happening,
Play
it
with
sounded like the
furious.
stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, believe me, again, I can't say that I have the full context of the beginning of it, so I'm guessing at what I saw, and it makes no sense in that context with the lack of information. I'm very willing to believe that something before the moment I walked up to the kiosk might explain everything, right? That's the stance I always take. I'm not gonna shit on you just because I want to shit on you. I'm gonna hold back my turd in case you have a good reason.
You're gonna what? You're holding
Hold
back
back
the
his-
turd.
I'm holding back my turd.
These muscles will clench.
Wait, is the game the turd, or did you bring a turd
No,
into
to
the
shit
game?
on it. He said to shit on it.
No, the turd's
Oh,
from
you're
me.
good.
Shit from a butt.
Yeah.
You're gonna put your turd on the other turd.
But
So that they
that,
cannot be lonely.
you understand? Like, I know that it's not always the most entertaining route to go, but if you have an explanation for your thing, and I'm going off and getting mad at a thing because I just missed a piece of crucial information, that's on me for missing it. So I want to
Why
be
are
very
you giving the benefit of the doubt?
I don't know why he's doing this with the
Why
David
do you-
Cage thing.
because I
Did
need
someone
to
pay you money before
no,
this?
because I don't want I want to be honest about this and
It
basically
sounds like something an assassin would say.
right? Because I want to be very clear here and state that just like when we had those moments in the previous David Cage games where you're like, holy fuck, in the midst of this train wreck, there was a single element here that worked. There was a piece of quality, and this makes it worse because it shows that, like,
It'll be one of those things again.
it will be one of those things. That's what I'm trying to get at. I'm
Well,
trying to get
this-
at this
this
is
is
gonna
David
be,
Cage.
and because we're looking at a movie where, not a movie, fuck it, it's a movie where there's